Hi everyone, I am Mr. Jomar Sayaman. Today I will be presenting to you my research entitled Role of Stressful Life Events, Daily Hassles, and Sense of Coherence in Understanding Depressive Symptoms among College Students. Depression has been one of the most common psychological problems even before the pandemic. However, the rates of depression increased significantly during these times of pandemic. According to researchers, this could be due to several factors. And one of the major factors are those different stressors that have been occurred more frequently during these times of pandemic. If you will see in the graph, on July 2019 to March 2020, there's only 9.7%. However, it increased significantly. And on June 2020, the percentage is now 19.2%. There are various types of stressors. There are major stressors. There are minor stressors. The major stressors include those stressful life events, like for example, the death of your loved ones, being unemployed or getting fired, or acquiring a serious physical illness. This stressful life events has been found to be consistently associated with depressive symptoms. And another stressor is what we call the daily hassles. These daily hassles are minor stressors that may somehow affect the psychological functioning of a person. However, it may just affect the person's psychological functioning if a person experience a lot of daily hassles and they also experience it on a regular basis. During this pandemic, there are so many daily hassles. Like for example, because of the adjustments made in the work, other people experience emotional um, burnout because of too much work that they have to do. Some people tend need to isolate themselves because they are forced to follow the health protocols. And some minor stressors that we also experience almost on a daily basis. So, and those factors can affect the development of depressive symptoms. That's why many people in the world, since we are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, um, experience depressive symptoms or and to other people they also they experience even depressive disorder. And as you can see, anxiety together with depressive symptoms, they are one of the most common during these times of pandemic, and these can be seen and observed across all ages. However, it was age 18 to 24 or 56.2% in this age bracket experience or may be vulnerable or the most vulnerable population to these kinds of problems. And those age 18 to 24, you may be thinking that that was the stage wherein majority of them are still studying. They are still pursuing their career in the future. In short, they are college students. And we know that college students, they do not just experience challenges and difficulties related to academics. They also experience personal related stressors like in their family problems. And when it comes to academic problems, they may experience difficulty catching up with the lessons because of the new setup or the new learning setup, and difficulty dealing with the activities, dealing with their professors. And college students, in short, they experience a lot of stressors. However, the reality is not all people or not all people who experience a lot of stressful life events and daily hassles lead to depression. Some are able to cope. Some are able to find the reason behind the situation. They find ways on how they can cope with the situations, how they can manage the situations, and they really understand what's going on. And because of this, according to research, those who have those characteristics tend to have high or strong sense of coherence. And because of this, in my study, I was able to come up with this kind of framework that the stressful life events and daily hassles as the stressors can be considered as the independent variables. Depressive symptom as the dependent variable, sense of coherence, and its three dimensions, manageability, comprehensibility, and meaningfulness as the moderating variables. For the methodology, I have 363 college students, and I utilize the purposive sampling technique, wherein one of the major criteria for a person to be qualified for my research is that college should have at least 1 year of academic experience. This is to ensure that those events that have occurred during the pandemic have also been occurred during the time that they are college students. For the research instruments, I have four variables. So I have four research instruments, standard research instruments as well. To measure the stressful life events, I used negative life event scale for students. An inventory of college students' recent life experiences for daily hassles. Center for Epidemiologic Studies Depression Scale to measure depression. And orientation to life questionnaire for sense of coherence. For the results and discussion, I would like to present first the demographic characteristics of my participants. Majority of them are in the age 18 to 21 years old, followed by 22 to 25. Most of them are single, and majority are in the second year and third year level. Majority of them as well are from natural and applied sciences and social sciences. Those students are, majority of them are all coming from state universities and colleges. Unfortunately and unexpectedly, there is 275 or 75%, 75.8% of my total respondents are at high risk of depressive symptoms. Additionally, for the level of sense of coherence, there is only 51.8% of students who have low level of sense of coherence, and there is 46.3 and 1.9% of students who have high and very high sense of coherence, respectively. And for the descriptive statistics and correlations among variables, as expected, sense of coherence is strongly and directly related to meaningfulness, manageability, and comprehensibility. And it is also inversely related to stressful life events. That when a person experiences a lot of stressful life events, sense of coherence is weak. Or when a person experience when sense of coherence is high, this means that they experience less stressful life events. For it is also related to age, and stressful life events isn't related to depressive symptoms and daily hassles. However, depressive symptoms is strongly related to daily hassles and at least related to age. For the moderation analysis, I tested the stressful life events as the independent variable, depressive symptoms as the dependent variable, and sense of coherence in its three dimensions as the moderators. And I found that the stressful life events did not predict the depressive symptoms across four levels. Same goes with sense of coherence and its three dimensions. It has been found that those those moderators did not moderate the relationship between stressful life events and depressive symptoms. And the next moderating analysis is that daily hassles predicted depressive symptoms across four models. However, total sense of coherence and its three dimensions did not moderate the relationship between daily hassles and depressive symptoms. According to Kraft, Arensman, and Spinhoven, they provided strong evidence showing that daily hassles were strongly related to depressive symptoms more than stressful life events. As you can see from the results, stressful life events did not predict depressive symptoms, but daily hassles do. As expounded by Kra, Arensman, and Spinhoven, they think that stressful life events create situations that predispose a person to experience daily hassles, which may eventually lead to depressive symptoms. This means, for example, when the breadwinner of your family died because of, like, for example, contracting the virus or acquiring serious illness, it can create situations such as financial difficulties. And because a family experiences financial difficulties, it will be difficult for them to adjust and adapt with the new situations. Thus, some of the family members will experience depressive symptoms. And since the time of COVID-19 pandemic brought numerous uncertainties, college students tend to experience more daily hassles, which contribute to negative feelings. College students, as we all know, are still in the new mode of learning. They are still online. And because of this, it's difficult for them to catch up to the lessons, especially when they are experiencing internet difficulties. And aside from that, they do not just they also may experience difficulties when it comes to the difficulty learning with major subjects or subjects that require that are too difficult, or some students experience difficulties in dealing with their professors. And not just that, they also experience personal problems in the family. And because of this, they become they experience negative feelings as a result of those daily hassles that they may experience during these times of pandemic. However, the moderation effect of sense of coherence and its three dimensions between the relationship of daily hassles and depressive symptoms among college students were not supported by the current findings. One of the major reasons is that sense of coherence is not sufficient. A person who has the ability to manage the situations, even if they understand what's going on with the environment, or they find meaning with the situations, it's still not sufficient. Sense of coherence is not sufficient to be considered as the protective factor of depression. And since we are in the pandemic, we all know that majority of us are experiencing fear of contracting the virus. And there is this study that they found that fear of contracting the virus has a different effect on sense of coherence and depressive symptoms. According to this study, when a person experiences fear of contracting the virus, they find following the health protocols and the situations as reasonable and expected. And because of this, it only reflects a high sense of coherence. This is the effect, or this is the influence of fear on sense of coherence. But this is not the same with depressive symptoms. A person experiences fear of contracting the virus, especially when the fear is severe. it may eventually lead to depressive symptoms, or it may probably lead to depressive symptoms. So, although fear of COVID-19 brings positive benefits to the sense of coherence, the effects is reversed for depressive symptoms. My study is important as it will give idea and knowledge, especially to mental health practitioners, like those working in the academy, that they have to get informed about the current uh, information about the increasing rates of depression. And they have to screen regularly and properly the psychological functioning of the student. And they have to find ways on how they can help them, how they can reach, and how they can assist those, especially those students who are experiencing depressive symptoms. And mental health practitioners in general should provide comprehensive psychological intervention that should focus on helping college students adjust and adapt to the daily hassles and stressors during these times of pandemic. And they also need to consider the fact that psychological intervention, for it to become more comprehensive, there must have a collaboration between mental health practitioners, the client, and of course, their family members. And for the recommendation of the study, to all those who will be interested in studying about depressive symptoms during these times of pandemic, and you also want to study more about the stressors, please consider the controllability of the stressors. Consider the controllability and uncontrollability of daily hassles and stressful life events in understanding the onset of depressive symptoms in the college population. And for the second one, environmental and other personal protective factors have to be considered as well. For example, the role of negative perceptions towards hassles. It's more about the thinking patterns of a person, the social support, and COVID-19 related variables as moderators or mediators. So that's all for my presentations, and thank you for listening.